Hello, welcome to Club E. Hi, I'm Rick Brimacombe of Brimacombe and Associates. I am your architect of business growth and will work with you to unlock your potential and amplify the scale of your company. Today, we are talking about how to keep virtual employees and clients engaged. I want to thank our sponsors, Irish Titan, an e-commerce and web development firm, Highland Bank, a locally owned community bank, Romaine Berg, a digital marketing agency, and Voyager U, a community to build your independent work life. To participate in the comments section today, make sure you're watching on YouTube. While you're there, please hit the subscribe button and the like if you would. That will allow us to deliver better content to you as well as let you know when we are going live. You can also catch Club E on your favorite podcast platform, Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, and many others. All right, with that, I would like to introduce today's guest. Welcome, Kurt Schmidt. Kurt is president and partner at Foundry. Hi, Kurt.
Hey, how you doing, Rick?
Good. And for those of you taking notes out there, his email is kurt@foundrymakes.com. You'll also find his email address in the comments field of YouTube. All right, Kurt, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your firm, and the various things that you're up to these days.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate you having me on the show. I'm a big fan. I've watched almost all the episodes, so I'm really honored to be here. So, yeah, Rick said I'm Kurt. I'm the president and a partner at Foundry, and we design and build custom software, a lot for B2B, everything from mobile to enterprise applications. I'd like to say we define most of the work that we do. So we really work with our clients from a strategic standpoint and really enjoy the work. I've been in the tech space for about 25 years or more. I started out as a developer and designer and eventually moved into management roles because I found out I wasn't a very good developer, but I could manage the teams. I was good at managing the teams and I understood the work that they did. So yeah, I worked for mostly in the agency space. I did start my career at UHC, designing, what was at the time, Rick, the future of technology, which was CD-ROMs. If you remember,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I was in that cutting edge space there for a while, and then eventually the internet came along and blew that all up. So started spending more time there. Worked in a number of agencies. Spent time at a company called the Nerdery for a number of years. I was director of project management, then a digital strategy director there, and then joined Foundry as their president and as a partner a few years ago. We hit the Inc. 5000 list last year for fast growing companies, and we're about doubling in size every year. So it's been a wild ride. I mean, just this week, I think we hired 4 people just this week. So it's been busy, and I'm really enjoying it.
That's fabulous. So how many employees do you have now?
We have, somebody's going to kill me for saying this, but I think it's about 35, almost 38 people. Ask me in a week. It'll be different.
It'll be a couple more.
It most likely will be.
Yeah. And then we were talking beforehand. Tell us a little bit about the print painting off of your right shoulder, and then the question, because of all these interviews I've done since 2007, I have never been able to connect dots from Evel Knievel to the current iteration of a person's business life. So tell everybody about the print, and then bring us from Evel Knievel to today in the life of Kurt.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that up because biking has always been a huge part of my life. When I was a kid, obviously we didn't have things, I don't want to be that guy who's like, well, we didn't have the internet and all this. Well, we didn't, and so freedom was being on your bike and being out in the world. And over time, I got much better at things. I had some friends show me some BMX magazines, showed me kids jumping off of curbs and things. And I thought that looks pretty cool. I want to do that. So I started racing BMX and then started doing BMX tricks and started getting into competitions. And, and it kind of was inspired, obviously, because as a kid, I grew up watching Evel Knievel jump every, at least once a month, he was jumping something ridiculous. And I just thought he was the closest thing to a real life superhero, in the world. And it really attracted me to the idea of the freedom you can have on two wheels. And eventually I became a professional rider and decided to launch my own bike company with some partners. And I ran that for a number of years. And while I was there, I really got attracted to the technology side of the business that we were building. And then that led me into going to school for design and technology. And then, yeah, and here I am today. So, I kind of really like that sort of leap before you look mentality when it comes to business. And I would say I get a lot of people asking me, how did you build your career? How did you do all these things to get to where you're at? And I'd say, well, a lot of times it was because I put my foot in my mouth and said, yeah, I could totally do that. And then I would be like, I have no idea how to do it. So I'm going to have to figure it out. Which I kind of attribute to, growing up watching Evil Knievel.
Now, well, what's funny when we were talking about that beforehand is you and I had the same action figures.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, yeah, that brings back the memories, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Say, going to where we're at today, can't kind of go anywhere without starting with the pandemic. So, as you kind of reflect on the time now that we've been in it, roughly a year, during this time, how has it become more and more important to engage with your staff, clients, and new prospects regularly? And given your experience, talk about what you think works and what hasn't worked for delivering that engagement.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that question because we at Foundry we've always had a very office culture, right? Very officey, right? I mean, if you watch the TV show The Office, that's like our place, people pranking each other, having a good time. We have a pool table in our office. It's very community driven. So when we all were going home, if you remember, Rick, we were going home for 2 weeks, right?
Oh, I definitely remember. Absolutely.
Yeah. So here we are, almost a solid year later. We still are all working from home. We have opened up the office and allow about 4 to 5 employees in at a time because some people just don't have a great work from home environment, and we need to still be able to provide them with the ability to get their job done. So with us, and again, I don't want to be flippant when I say this, but we were very focused on our culture from the get-go, and it was something that we really put a lot of effort into. Right, so culture is something you can kind of push, but you can't steer. So especially as a leader, and so, but you have to constantly be pushing if you do want it to keep moving forward and start growing and becoming better and better for not just for your employees but for your business overall. So for us, moving to that virtual thing was a little weird at first because we had that very close knit office culture, but because we had the right people and we asked the employees and we tasked them with coming up with ways to keep us engaged with the staff. I think the biggest mistake would have been is if me and my other two partners, would have just been like, "Hey, we're going to do this," and then that's how everybody's going to engage. That would have been terrible. What we did is we started listening a lot more to what people thought and what people wanted, and we just tried stuff. Well, some stuff that we tried last year didn't work. It puttered out after a couple of months, but we kept trying, and we're still trying new things. And so, one thing that we do that I think has been really successful is we have this morning stand up. We used to do morning stand up in the office, and we changed it to Good Morning Foundry, we call it, and kind of a riff on the old
Yeah.
Robin Williams show, Good Morning Vietnam. So it's Good Morning Foundry. But what at that Good Morning Foundry, every staff member is asked to run a Good Morning Foundry, and so they come up with presentations, different sorts of things. Like we had a designer last week come up with something, a presentation on should birds have arms, and just go. And the question, and it just sparked conversation. And he had a presentation with disturbing pictures, by the way. You don't want to see a bird with arms. It's really it's worse than you think. So we engage our employees to come up with things to bring to the table, and that's been really I think the most successful thing for us is not being a top down sort of leadership organization during this pandemic, is really asking the people who are on the front lines, telling us what they need. So that from an employee's perspective has worked well for us.
Okay. So having gone through that and being in the position you are as a business leader, of all the takeaways, and you covered several of them, which one do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned during this COVID timeframe?
Yeah, I would say it's the resilience of our team. They they made it work. They like working with each other. They trust each other. They enjoy the work that they do, and I think the way that they rallied was probably my biggest takeaway. And I truly believe, while I say it's important that you have the employees kind of dictating to you what's going to work for them, but as a leadership team, really deliberately and intentionally creating that space for them, and making it and letting them know it's a safe space. Like it's okay to go ahead and set up all these meetings and then turn them off 2 weeks later. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's fine. Like go ahead and explore the space, try stuff. And so I think from a leadership, personally, I built up even more trust than I already had in my team. I know 5, 10 years ago, when people would say they were going to work from home, everybody knew what that meant.
Yeah,
But now, I see, and the one other thing that I would say as a takeaway is you've also got to check people because they are working more hours, and you've got to pull them back in some cases and be like, hey, you don't need to be messaging me here at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday. Like, just save it for tomorrow. Like, it's okay. We'll get it. We'll get the document out. It's fine. I'll tell the client they can wait another day. Like, so also, being a good sort of barometer, because in the office as a leader, people are picking up visual cues from you all the time, even though you don't know it. You're like a Great Dane in the office. You're huge. You carry a lot of weight when you walk around. People watch when you go to lunch, when you take a break, when you're not working and chatting with folks. And that's how they're picking up that's those on what the appropriate way to work in the office is. They'll pick up those visual cues. Well, we don't have that now. So now we have to be very, very intentional with our communication, both virtually and digitally, to give those cues to people, especially since we've onboarded 15 to 16 people in the last year virtually. And that was very new for us. So those virtual cues became a huge part of being very intentional with that onboarding.
sure. Say a reminder for everybody out there, if you are in YouTube, you can submit questions into the comments field. We will try to weave those in. So you can participate today if you would like on that front. Afterwards, you can catch this video on the Clubby YouTube channel or get our podcast. So there's a variety of ways to go back and listen to this again if you would like. All right, so Kurt, we've now, as you mentioned, been in this for almost a year. In some respects, it's almost a new normal.
Yeah.
What are you doing to try to keep the current employees not only engaged but also motivated?
Yeah, I would say it's a mixture of it's a multi forgive my it's a multimedia sort of approach. Not only these digital and virtual things, but also sending gifts, dropping things off at their places, surprising them with books and different things. It's been a real exercise, especially for our folks in Carolyn, who runs our marketing communications. She's working every day to find ways to engage with employees, um, mostly by being better listeners. Honestly, by and creating those spaces to create an opportunity to listen to people. We stepped up the one-on-ones. We spread out the one-on-ones to not just their direct boss, or direct report, but to people across the organization. We are doing all staffs virtually. So again, going back to that, taking a mixed approach has been really helpful. Not just relying on like one sort of communication form, not just Slack or Zoom or Google Meets or things like that, or just email, not just digital, but we've even had some virtual socially distanced meetups at breweries and things. So some people are comfortable coming to those and some people are not, but it's okay. The people who are comfortable coming to those, they deserve that space too. So you can't just pick one route. You got to really open it up, and try stuff and be okay at screwing it up. And then coming back to your employees and saying, yeah, we tried that thing. I'm sorry. It didn't, it didn't work out. We're not going to do that again. The feedback was it wasn't great.
Yep. Totally agree that serving up different options and let people pick what's best for them is
Yes,
the way to go, because then everybody can make their own decision and go down the path that they feel most comfortable with.
absolutely.
So we do have a question here from Rob going back to the checking employees, your comment on checking employees and making sure that they're taking care of themselves. So question from Rob is, how do you spot burnout before it's too late?
Yeah. Yeah, if you've been doing this long enough, a lot of times you can pick up on those cues pretty quickly. But if you're tracking the work, hopefully your project management team, your producers, your product managers, whoever those people are that are running the actual day-to-day work, those are your first line of defense. How utilized is this person? Do they have are they being tasked out with 50 hours a week of work? How much are they burning each week? What are they submitting in their timesheet or when they're doing their commits? How much work is that, and scaling it? So personally, and with the other leaders, I know we really lean on the production team, the project managers, and that group to kind of see what's coming. Like, we have to forecast the workout as best as we can, and so we usually get a pretty good idea of how much work somebody is being given. Plus, on top of it, the managers are there to be meeting regularly on projects with people. How much work did you get done yesterday? What are you getting done today? Being able to check those things, because what I've found is that people get burned out when you in this during this time, not because you're forcing them to, because you let them, because you're not watching out for them, you're not watching their back, and you don't have the levers in place to say like, well, looks like Tyson is scheduled out for 60 hours for the next 2 weeks. I think he should be okay there. But then all of a sudden you check, the project manager checks in and sees on that following Monday that he put in 50 hours. Somebody should pull him aside and say like, hey, what's going on? Are you spinning wheels, or are you just doubling down? Do you got a vacation coming up? Like, what's going, like, asking the question and keeping that communication line open, and again, letting them know it's a safe space to say, I'm really stressed out. um, because what I've found, is that people will go way too far before they say anything. They'll just let it pop, right? And sometimes they're doing that because they don't feel safe bringing it up when they first start to feel the hairs on the back of their neck raise up. So um, I would say that's worked for us.
You used a couple of key words there of about letting them go too far, and that it was your job to look out for them. So those are key takeaways there on what you said, and good reminders for everybody. So how about shifting gears towards attracting new business? And you mentioned all these new employees that you've hired and onboarded. What are your thoughts about that? And how has getting new business and attracting new employees changed given COVID? And where do you see things going in the future?
Yeah, well, to be honest, Rick, I mean, the past few years in our growth, right? We started with two guys that built this company just about 6 years ago, and we'll probably by our sixth anniversary, we're probably well into 40 some people, and the majority of the work has just been referrals. We don't have a, you know, uh, 3,000, email list that gets mailed spam stuff. All it's referrals. And what I've found is, and it's going to sound really simple, but it's not. It's a lot of work, which is staying top of mind. That's been key for us in the last year in the pandemic, and it will be key for us. Literally, our marketing strategy for this year is called Operation Stay Top of Mind. That's what it is. It's not about selling. It's not about anything other than reminding people that we're here. Because a lot of the work that we do, sometimes when somebody has an idea, it might take a year for them to actually get to the point to work with us. Timing is really important with the type of work that we do, since it's custom, right? There's a lot of design that has to go into these things. So sometimes there's a lot of start stop. There's a hurry up and waits. There's all the whole kit and caboodle. But if you don't stay top of mind, when those opportunities arise, people will go with who's ever top of mind, or that's will be the first person they reach out to. And so for me, for our company and with our clients, it's the same thing with our current clients. It's not even just about new business. Sending gifts to clients that we're working with, reminding them that we really enjoy working with them, and we care about that partnership and that relationship. And so as the year goes on and as the past year, the biggest thing was just remind people that we're here. Consistency is key. Just trying crazy new things, and this and that, like it just hasn't worked. And so um, really reminding people who we are and that we're here has been key. Promoting employees over promoting work that we've done has also been really important, because people are interested in the people. They're not interested in, you know, uh, you know, the the last startup maybe that we worked with, or the last enterprise client that we designed some prototypes for. They like the human side of things. So promoting our team has also been a really beneficial part of that, staying top of mind.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. So we've covered employees, we've covered new customers, we've covered employee candidates and recruiting a little bit.
Mm,
Talk now about customer service. How are you keeping
yeah.
top of mind on the customer service side with the clients you're already engaged with, and how has that changed over the last couple of years?
Yeah, that's really interesting, Rick, because like I mentioned, we're very officey, face-to-face culture, and we're that way. We've always been that way with our clients. We always preferred to meet in person. What we do is complex work, and there's a lot of nuance to it. And so body language and the way that people are responding to prototypes and things that we're presenting has been key for us to be able to not waste a lot of time with folks. And so for us, moving into these virtual workspaces where we're doing these virtual workshops. We do a ton of workshops with our clients. Audits, we do a lot of audits for people, right? Like, come in and my app needs a new user experience. Tell me what it needs to be, what we need to do to fix this. And we'll do an audit and we'll come back and we'll present those findings. And a lot of times, it's much more difficult without the body language from people to see, are they comfortable with this report on what we're showing them? Are they uncomfortable with it? How are they responding, and how can I adjust the conversation in a way to make sure that they also feel safe and comfortable in the space with us and working with us? And for us, it's really been, again, about staying top of mind. I know it sounds simple, but there's a lot of things we take for granted when we were working in person, which was, well, we're meeting them in person next week, so we'll talk about it then. But now it's like, no, I'm just going to FaceTime them right now and be like, hey, let's have a quick discussion before we have that discussion next week. Oh yeah, okay, that one stakeholder doesn't seem to be fully aligned with everything. Can I just talk with them off to the side? And it's much easier virtually to do that than pull somebody out of a room to have a side conversation with someone. So there has been some benefits, but yeah, I would say we're looking forward to getting back face to face with the people we work with every day. But we want to make sure it's a safe manner. We have no plans for making everybody go back to the office anytime soon. And we have no plans of doing in person workshops or anything of that nature anytime soon. So it's about doubling down on that communication and realizing that not everybody communicates the same way you do, right? Like my sister, for example, drives me crazy. And the reason she drives me crazy is because she will send me a text message, then she will message me on Facebook, and then she will send me an email. It drives me crazy. Sorry. A
Well,
little
we
bit
all
there.
have our own styles, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But to be honest, some of our partners that they work similar ways, and you've got to follow them down that rabbit hole in order to do it. You can't just go and be like, look, anything you need, just post in Slack because that's the only place we're checking. No, no. Like a lot of our clients, I have personal relationships. We text back and forth about things, and then I'll take the texts, and if there's some decisions in there, I'll take the pictures from the text and I'll give it to the project managers and be like, this is what we talked about. Here's the context. Um, you know, reach out to them and see what we can do in next steps here. So it's not just limited to this sort of well, let's wait till we have the big meeting, you know, the big meeting with everybody there. We can have tons of these side discussions, but you've got to be organized. You got to stay on top of it, and you got to keep people in the loop.
So you've touched on it a little bit in a couple of different ways, but there are many aspects of working remotely that can't be emulated
Yeah.
to that degree. So whether it be water cooler talk or catching lunch with a coworker, how do you build on your company culture and the camaraderie in the virtual environment that we find ourselves in?
Yeah, like I said, I would say tasking again back to what I said earlier, tasking out the employees to come up with a lot of those ways to engage. Right? It's different, when a boss comes into a room and says, from now on, we're not going to have soda anymore. We're going to have Lacroix. Everybody's like, okay, well, I guess that's what they chose. That's what you get. And if a boss comes in and says, okay, well, we're gonna have an all staff meeting every day at 9 a.m. to make sure that people are working, then people are just gonna do it. They're not gonna like it. They're not gonna. Some people might like it. Some people be like, no, it's fine. And if the boss goes and asks people, do you like it? Of course they're gonna be like, well, yeah, you're the boss. Of course I like it because it's your meeting. Like, what am I gonna say? I don't want to get fired. We're in a friggin' pandemic,
Right.
right? So people are a bit, you got to learn, people are a bit more nervous these days because nobody wants to get laid off or fired during this time because they know how much more difficult that networking and that piece is. So people are going to be a bit more forgiving to your dumb ideas as a leader. So you've got to really spend time checking those things and asking people to bring new things to the table and just being a person that's supporting them, right? As a decider, or a decision maker in an organization, you shouldn't be deciding on whether or not that's a good idea or not, on whether, well, you know what, let's have everybody make friendship bracelets and send them to someone, or let's do Secret Santa in July. um, like, your job is to support those things, because that's a journey your culture is going to go on. um, you're not and again, don't get me wrong, if somebody comes up with something that is against your brand or your culture or the things that you've done, like, obviously you need to shut it down. um, but you need to give some space to those things and let the folks tell you what they're going to engage in, because as the boss, like I said, they're always going to just agree with you. They're scared of you, you know and not in like a, they're worried you're outside their house kind of way.
Yeah, no, I got
you
you. I
know
got you. Right, we got you. Hey, sticking on culture and camaraderie, given what you know now, looking back in the rear view mirror, what might you have done sooner if you had to do it over again, and what maybe would you have done differently?
Honestly, I probably, and again, my partners might have a different opinion, but personally, I probably would have wanted to come up with a stronger work from home policy from the get go. We didn't really ever have one. I mean, we're a very flexible work environment, right? Like, if you've got the cable company coming this afternoon, like, yeah, go home and deal with that and work from home or do whatever you need to do. We're very flexible that way already, but we didn't have a firm policy in place. So yeah, in hindsight, I probably would have wanted something more firmly in place to let people know what works for our company and what doesn't work for our company. And I would say going forward now, we're going to have something in place that helps with that because, I mean, we've had a few employees. I mean, our employees have always been very local, but some great people that work for us, have moved back home, right? Or moved closer to family. and that might be in different states. I have a great engineer that moved to Costa Rica to be closer to his family, and he's not coming back time soon. And do I blame him? No,
No, not at all. In
no,
fact,
I don't. But
we should go visit him this weekend.
I know exactly, because every time he's not working, he's basically surfing. So, but the thing is with him, for example, he's someone is going to get the job done. He doesn't give up. He doesn't quit. And what I've tasked him to do and asked him to do is also be kind of that beacon for the rest of the team. Once we do work towards this model, being someone that can mentor and coach people on what works at Foundry, to be a work from home person, or when you're working from home, what types of communication styles work, what doesn't work. So the people that you're doing these experimenting with, you again, going back to this, doesn't have to, if you're a leader in a company, it doesn't have to rely all on your shoulders. You can delegate these things and give people opportunities to flex their leadership and mentorship skills in a way that lets them supplement and come across even more intentional and honest.
Hmm. Hmm. Reminder to everybody, hit the subscribe button and hopefully the like one as well. You can submit your questions. We do have another one here, Kurt. So from Matt, kind of wanted to know what was the biggest challenge or hurdle that you faced along these lines that we've been talking about today over the last year that we've been in the COVID lockdown.
Yeah, I would say hiring has been a challenge, because, well, as I mentioned just a little bit ago, hiring's been a challenge because people are kind of like, people who were planning on making a move in their career in 2020 put the brakes on, because they saw, 20 million, 30 million people out of work, Rick. That's just insane, right? And so I've got this nice job as an engineer at this place that I don't really enjoy, but I don't want to go out looking. Like, what happens if my boss finds out I'm looking and I get fired, or that job isn't good either? Then I'm stuck. Like, so it really put a hold on a lot of people wanting to advance or change their careers, either in an upward or lateral position. So I think it was harder for us to find talent that was interested in, taking a new direction with a fast growing company, and a fast growing company might sound risky too during that time. So that was also a challenge for us. And then and that's on the hiring side, but on the client side, I would say, budgets moved around a lot this year, right? First, it was like, we need to get something done, then it wasn't needed to get done. Or other clients where it was, holy crap, we went from 30% of our staff using this to 90% of our staff using this virtual tool that we built internally that is terrible and nobody knows how to use, and you can only get it going through a double secret password VPN thing, and it's just horrible, and we need to upgrade that system yesterday. So there was a lot of that where it was like, we got to get started 2 days ago, because the pandemic, for us in the tech space, it was an accelerator, right? I saw in between March and May, I saw 3 years worth of innovation happen in 3 months with tons of folks. Best Buy launched their curbside delivery that they'd been puttering along with for like a year. They launched it like in 3 weeks. Was it great? No. But is it great now? It's great. Yeah. But people were forced, and so I would say that the challenge is being able to find the right talent to be able to respond as quickly as we wanted to these great opportunities. And from an employee standpoint, I think I covered that. Just making sure people weren't burning out and getting engaged was a big additional part of the job.
So, if the early days of the pandemic and the lockdown was an accelerant to your growth, and if you look back, you folks have grown like 4 times in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
What have you learned during that process? And were there any things that caught you by surprise?
Mhm. Honestly, and not to, not to talk ill of past roles, but I've been in the agency world for a long time, and there was a lot of things that I saw that I wanted to change about the way that the agency model worked. My partners did as well. We had a different vision for what an agency in this space could be and what it could do, and moving away from the hourly billing to more value-based engagements. Um, Honestly, like there was a lot of opportunities to just provide a better and different, maybe not better in some cases, but just different type of service in this space. More leadership, more action, more intentionality, less order taking. Where in a lot of spaces, in an agency space, uh, you're kind of at your beck and call of the client sometimes, of like, I want this. But honestly, what I learned over the past few years is saying no has helped us build our business more than saying yes has. Uh, Saying no to things that weren't a good fit, no to things that weren't going to be a good long-term relationship, saying no to potential hires that probably could have really brought in a lot of horsepower, but wouldn't have been a good cultural fit or a fit for our clients. So I would say saying no and getting comfortable saying no, which is scary, right? Because a business owner, you want to say yes, 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 right? I need the money coming in. I need to feed this machine that I've built, right? Um, so saying no sounds really crazy, but you have to trust in the work that you're doing to build a good brand, to build a good relationships, you know, and that we've also, there's no competitors. We don't have competitors. There's tons of work out there to do, and there's a different type of person that likes to work with different types of people. We just have to find the people that like to work with us the most, and that takes a lot of work, and it's hard work, right? um, but for us, like I said, it's been about finding the right types of people to work with, and then really doubling down on those relationships and making them really sticky.
So totally agree with you on the saying no. That was actually one of my goals for 2021, actually written down and taped on the
Yeah.
inside of my cupboard in my kitchen. So I totally get the saying no and trying to find the things that are the best fit, as well as allow you to achieve your objectives. While again, like you said, they might be plenty good people or a plenty good project to work on, but if it's not the right fit,
Yeah.
definitely saying no makes the most sense.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, we made mistakes. We said yes to things that I thought were going to be bigger strategic, sort of things. It's just gonna be really painful in this first part, but then later, it'll get fine, right? And it didn't, and that's okay. But rubbin's racing. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna be bumping up against stuff, and you're gonna make mistakes. So, but learning, like I said, learning to say no has been really powerful for us because we're not a good fit for everybody. We're not going to be a good fit for every type of project in software design and custom development that there is. We're just not, and that's okay. We don't need to be. We need to be in the space that works the best for our team, where they can mesh really well with our clients and really accelerate what they're doing.
So I'm giving you the opportunity to put in a shameless plug. We've been talking about saying no to folks that aren't a fit.
Yeah.
So tell our audience, where they're listening live here today, or they pick up the YouTube on the Club E channel, or maybe they're listening via podcast. But what is a good fit, and what do you consider kind of the sweet spot of the bullseye for you and Foundry?
Yeah, I would say the majority of our clients are coming to us to help them solve a problem. They're not coming to us. And then don't get me wrong, there's times, Rick, where I get people call up and say, "How much for an app?" And I'm like, well, you don't need an app. Looking at your business and what I've looked at, you don't need an app. Uh, so the people that say, well, what should I do? That's usually the best fit.
All right. That's a message to take for everybody. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, yeah. I want to keep it as short and sweet because I can go on and on.
Right. So you've done some interesting things. You mentioned the bike racing earlier.
Yes.
Probably a lot of lessons along the way. As you reflect on that career, is there one more important lesson than others that you wish you would have learned sooner, or maybe there were a couple of things that in hindsight you'd
Sure.
think, gee, I would have liked to have learned that earlier on.
Yeah, I would say the work that we do at Foundry and then at these other places that I worked at, I think one of the biggest lessons is before I thought it was technology and it was design work. That's what we were doing. We were technologists, we were engineers, we were designers. And what I've come to find is what we're doing is a cultural exercise. That's what we're doing. When companies hire us to come in, they're bringing in our team and our culture, right? Um, they might already, a lot of companies we work with, they have software developers, and some even have designers. But those people are too busy keeping the lights on to actually get a lot of this new stuff done that they want to get done. And so they bring us in. And when we come in as a team that's already up to speed. We work together. Our team trusts each other. The designers and engineers, even though they have different jobs, they constantly are working together. So we're bringing in a cultural sort of experience, and not to sound all, hoity-toity here or whatever, but it is true. What we're doing is a cultural activity. It's not just building software. Great products are built by great teams. That's it. It's really hard to build a great product with a team that has infighting or silos or um, or people trying to step over the ladder or backstabbing. That's a really hard place to build a great product. And so you need a great team to build great products. So if you start with the team and you build a great team, you're going to get a great product. And a lot of times where we're brought in, it's because we've built that great team. And that's a big lesson that I've learned is that what we're selling is not an engineer and a designer, right? A lot of times with our clients, we do reverse staff augmentation, Rick, where we'll take one of their employees and put them on our team for 3 to 6 months as we're building out this new technology or this new piece. And they're learning as they go with us. I remember early on the days of Foundry, I remember getting a call from a large Twin Cities organization saying, I need 2 or 3 JavaScript developers for 9 months. And I thought to myself, and I said to the person, I said, that doesn't sound like a solution to anything. What are you actually trying to accomplish? And they were like, I just need some bodies. And I realized on that call, like it would have been really easy for me to take that deal and probably would have been pretty lucrative. Um, but I realized very quickly, like that wasn't actually going to solve their problem. And after 9 months, once I cashed that check, they weren't going to hire us again. They were going to fire, they're probably going to move on to whoever was going to give them a cheaper JavaScript developer, right? Or someone who had a flashier marketing angle to it. So for me, what I learned over the years was by bringing in that team that really can work well and gel well together, that has specific direction, that's there to actually make a change for the better in the organization, and wants it as much as the rest of the team on the client side does. That's the difference. That's the biggest thing I learned. And then the other thing I would say, the second thing was, is that people forget projects and people forget jobs, but they never forget their leaders. They never forget their managers. They never forget their bosses. So if you're a leader or manager or you're an aspiring person, remember that the people that work for you, they won't ever forget you. They won't ever forget you. So make sure you care and feed your legacy as a leader, as your time goes on. Whether you're a young person, you think it's more transactional, it's not. It's going to stick with you for a long time. So make sure you do what you can to watch out for people, to be a good steward of their career, to help them get to the next level. And if you do that, your career will just naturally advance.
Okay. So I'm going to take us back to the start of our conversation. And I'm going to even do a soft apology in advance, but I can't help myself. So let's pretend we were interviewing Evil Knievel here today.
Oh boy.
And we said, Evil, what business lessons do you think we should know? And so, what do you think Evil Knievel would tell us today about our business careers?
I honestly like, and I watched a lot of interviews with him and a lot of documentaries. I met him, actually. I've got to meet him and get photos taken with him. It was a real pleasure. And honestly, he's a pretty old school person, right? He's kind of the just get up and rub some dirt in it, you'll be fine, walk it off sort of
Yeah.
mentality. Um, but he did care a lot about the people who were his fans and his audience, the people that were out there supporting him in his career and the things that he was trying to do. And he broke bones in order to make them happy, and keep them coming back for more. For me, I would look at him as someone who would say like, you know, um, kind of the same attitude that I have, which is um, don't be don't assume people are thinking about you as much as you think they are. Don't think don't assume people are paying as close attention to you as you are to yourself. And don't assume that people are as critical of you as you are yourself. And if you remember that, and you can remember that when things get challenging or you get insecure or this thing we call imposter syndrome now creeps up on you, um, nobody else knows what they're doing. Evil didn't know what he was doing. He just put the hammer down and hit that ramp, you know?
And
And
then
whatever came out on the other side, that's what came out on the other side. And he learned more, he learned lessons. And so for me, I've kind of tried to be that and embody that. My father was similar. My father was a minister, and he understood that a church doesn't just build itself, a business just doesn't build itself. You got to go to where the people are, and you got to make your voice heard, and just what we said, stay top of mind.
hmm, I we talked about evil because of the painting or print off of your right shoulder before
Yeah.
the session. For those of you listening or watching out there, I did not know that Kurt had actually met him, so that makes the story
Yep.
even better that you had met him and took pictures. Uh,
Yeah.
and the bones he broke when we were talking beforehand, it was like over 400 bones that he
Oh yeah.
broke in his career.
Yep. He broke multiple. He broke the same bone multiple times. Multiple bones multiple times.
And then you told me, which I didn't know, from a business perspective, find fascinating. Some of his jumps, he knew he was not going to make it.
He did. Yeah. Yeah. He did. He knew at Caesar's Palace and a few other places that the gearing on his motorcycle wasn't the right gearing for the takeoff or for the runway he had to get up to speed to hit the ramp. But there was 20,000 people in the audience. What was he going to do? Tell them all to go home? Give them their money back? Like, no, he was going. He was going. You know. And whatever happened on the other side was future Evil Knievel's problem to deal with. And there's times where, as a business leader, make those decisions as well. This is going to be a problem for future Kurt to have to worry about. But right now, I'm going to have to make a decision today and move forward. So I can't think about it too
Well,
much. I have to trust that future Kurt can handle whatever is going to come on the other side of that ramp.
absolutely. Well, a lot of lessons in there for all of us.
I appreciate that, Rick.
Thanks for going off script here with the Evil Knievel talk.
Well, if there's one thing I'm known for, Rick, it's going off script.
All right. Well, thanks for playing along and sharing those insights. All right. So we're wrapping up on our time. As you look at our conversation today and the topic that we're covering, if you had one key takeaway, what would that be?
Yeah, what would that be?
What would the takeaway be from our topic? Any last
Yeah.
thing that
I,
you'd like to share with our audience?
honestly, yeah, no, honestly, Rick, I would say, become a better listener. That's it. Be a better listener for your team, and be a better listener for your partners and clients. Maybe if you're an organization and you have peers, uh, find out where they best communicate at, and be a better listener. Don't force people just into the one channel that you're comfortable with. Open up all the channels and be a better listener. Um, and those that way people will tell you what they need and what they need to be successful. And if you can help them and you can provide that, then you're going to be even more valuable than you were yesterday. And that's something that drives me every single day.
And if you're becoming a better listener, that allows you to empathize
Yep.
better with them, and
And make
then
better decisions.
make better decisions. And then also that saying of you don't know what they're going through.
Right.
So by listening, even if they don't share everything with you, you'd be able to have a better kind of perspective on where they're coming from.
100%, because sometimes people just want to be heard. They don't need you to decide things. So if you're a better listener and you've created more channels to be that person to listen, sometimes that's all people need, right? I used to tell people that I managed, it's okay to just come in and vent. This is a safe space. I'm not going to take any action. I'm not going to do anything with the information you tell me, but I'm going to be someone here that says, yeah, that sounds really bad. What are you going to do about that? Like, some people just, you just need that, and that's okay. It's a very human thing, But now that we can't pull each other into a conference room, you have to understand: do they want to do that over text message, a phone call, video call, uh, and be that person that's open to all those things.
Kurt, it's been a lot of fun. I know that you and Darren Lynch, one of our sponsors here at Club E, Darren of Irish Titan, are friends and enjoy each other's company. And Darren,
Darren's fantastic.
yeah, Darren had told me that I would enjoy having you on the show. It was a lot of fun, probably the most fun that I've ever had, in the sense of going all the way to Evil Knievel. Fabulous part of today's episode. So, Kurt, I hope you'd come back again.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and thank you, Rick and Lucas, to Club E for the opportunity and the consideration. It's truly an honor to be here, and thank you for everyone who took time out of their day to watch me rant about things. And you can find me and my company at foundrymakes.com, and then plus I do a podcast and YouTube, much like Club E does here, and it's called Schmidt List, and you can find that on YouTube or anywhere where podcasts are served. And I really focus on leadership in the design and tech area in those conversations. And yeah, I'd love for you to check it out. My wife actually named it Rick Schmidt List. Do you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, because being a leader in design and technology, I was originally call it, the Schmidt Show, because I thought that's what it's like being in a leader, because everything's changing all the time on you. But my wife said, it'd be better because you have this list of people you want to talk to, and it'd be fun for you to ask them, do you want to be on my Schmidt list? And it stuck. Here it is.
So, question: did she get a engagement fee or a success fee or
Oh
some
yeah.
sort of
Oh
branding?
no, she had to come on the show. She's a user experience director for JP Morgan Chase, and
Right.
so I definitely pick her brain about what it's like to manage a large team of designers and researchers on a daily basis. So,
All right, that's great. And then, Kurt, if somebody wanted to reach out to you directly, what's
yeah,
your email address?
yeah, it's Kurt, Kurt, Kurt at foundrymakes.com. And then plus I'm on all the social medias all over the place. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I've been using Clubhouse a lot recently, which I really enjoy. And so I'm on Clubhouse at Schmidt List. And then, Instagram, Twitter, all the things. But yeah, just shoot me an email, Kurt at foundrymakes.com.
All right, thanks, Kurt. Look forward to having you back.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you again for the opportunity. It really means a lot to me.
Great. Thank you.